guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you listening in on my podcast, welcome. And for those of you on my YouTube channel, it is so good to see you guys again. Whew, it's a lot to unpack today, so let's get into it. So I'm sure by now the world has heard about KeKe Palmer and the situation with her ex-boyfriend, the father of her son. I'm sure the news has broke out. When I saw this last night, I wasn't sure if that was a topic I wanted to touch because I didn't want my channel to be one of those gossip channels that talks about celebrities and whatever issue is going on in their life. But as it relates to domestic violence, I felt compelled to share my thoughts and my opinion on the ongoing matter because I grew up in a domestic violence home. I grew up in an abusive home. I grew up in a home where I not only witnessed, but also I wouldn't say unwilling participant, but but I was also a part of what transpired in my home growing up as a kid. Not to say that it was taken out on me. It was just so I have always been one of those people that it's not gonna happen in front of me. It's not. I'm not gonna stand by idly and watch it happen, So growing up in my household, like whenever shit went down or whatever, I would throw myself in it in an attempt to protect my mother. Okay? And growing up as a kid, we envision a life for ourselves. And it's never a life that involves being in an abusive partnership, relationship with anybody. No little girl or boy has ever envisioned themselves being a domestic violence victim. So I commend KeKe Palmer for standing up and speaking up about the situation. I commend her for taking her stance because initially it first came out that she filed for sole custody of her son. And I was like, I don't know. Because she doesn't give me the vibe of like a vindictive, manipulative person that would purposely take a child away from their father unless she had a justifiable cause. Does she have a shade of pettiness in her? She sure do. Is she a little bit shady? Hell yeah, she is. But listen, who isn't, right? But KeKe Palmer never displayed the characteristic of being one of those females that would deliberately and purposely keep a child away from the other parent. So for her to have done that, I can only imagine the turmoil and the struggle, the battle that she had within herself to make such a decision. And when I initially saw that, I was like, something happened, but you don't want to speculate and you don't want to defame anybody's character. And playing devil's advocate, who's to say that is not the case? But the evidence the evidence speaks for itself. And again, I 1000% commend KeKe Palmer in doing what a lot of domestic violence victims unfortunately didn't have the courage to do, or couldn't even afford to do, because sadly many of them do not make it out alive. Many of them do not come out of the situation. And as it progressed, and the brother came on and say what he had to say, her mom, that I for one have never seen I for one have never seen KeKe Palmer's mom, don't know what her mommy looked like, and for her to come out and speak, it speaks volume. It says that, hey, listen, a lot of shit went down and I'm not having it. And kudos to you, mom, because baby, as a mother, okay, whether it be my male child or my daughter, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, and I'm coming for blood. Okay? So for her mother to come out and speak, I was like, whoa, what is going on? Like, whoo, baby. But when the family feuds, nobody wins. And it's sad because the most affected person in this whole situation, besides KeKe Palmer, is their son. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And the thing is, people will say, well, if he was so abusive, why she had a kid by him? Because I think the mom, the mommy went on to say that a year ago, she went to the brother expressing her concerns about the way the then boyfriend was treating KeKe Palmer. And, I guess they kind of like nonchalantly kind of brushed it off, based on, at least this is what I got from when I saw the video of when KeKe Palmer's mom spoke on the situation. So I know, like, I was reading the comments, and there are many people out there kind of like victim blaming and bashing KeKe and questioning her actions and whatever. Listen, if you have never been through it, please don't speak on it. If you have never experienced it, please just, try not to have anything negative to say, because it's not as easy as you think it is. Trust me, okay? I grew up in an abusive home, and it took my mommy years to finally walk away for good. Mind you, like, with every instance like it happened, she would get up and leave. She would pack myself and my siblings, and we would move somewhere for a period of a few weeks, and then we would find ourselves back home with my daddy, and then the cycle continues. Okay? And listen, growing up, when you grow up in an abusive home, or even if you haven't grown up in an abusive home, but if you've seen stories, read books, people personally that survive domestic violence, and you hear their stories, even if you haven't lived it personally, you try to grasp the concept, and you would say to yourself, oh, I could never, oh, it would never be me, oh no, I could this and I could that, or whatever. And it's even more so growing up in an abusive home. It's 1,000 times more for you when it can go either one of two ways. Okay, when you grow up in an abusive home, it can be a situation where you would either be drawn to such a person that displays those tendencies, because that's all you know, especially when one of your parent refused to leave or couldn't leave, you know. So that's all you know. So you unknowingly attract those type of people because of the trauma. Your trauma would attract such people. And then the other part of it, you could be one of those people that grew up in an abusive home, or like I said, witnessed and saw stories about it, and you promise yourself, like, I would never ever entertain, indulge, or accept being in an abusive relationship with anybody based on your experiences as a childhood. In your childhood. Like, for me personally, one of my traumas from growing up in an abusive home is the fact that I hate anybody speaking loudly to me. Do not raise your voice at me. Don't yell at me. To me, that's a trigger. It triggers me, you know. So I know that is one of my triggers. So I let people know early on, even casually speaking, if you're speaking to me, a lot of people have witnesses where I will literally tell people, like, bring it down. Like, I'm right here. You don't have to yell at me in order for me to understand what you're saying, right? That is one of my triggers. And you never willingly, pick the person that will be abusive to you. So again, if it is something that you have never experienced personally in your life, if you have never lost family members to domestic violence, please do not speak on it, okay? Because you don't understand it. And you will never understand it unless it hit home. When you find yourself in an abusive relationship, okay? Because I was one of those people. I promised myself, I'm like, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to be in one of those relationships. But guess what? Years later, I found myself in an abusive relationship. I found myself in an abusive relationship. Like, it only got physical, like, I think twice before. But abuse is still abuse, because, like, the emotional abuse and the verbal abuse, physical abuse, like, abuse is abuse. And I found myself in one of those relationships, and for the life of me, I asked myself, how did I get there? When I was in that relationship, I used to question myself all the time. How did I get there? How? After I promised myself to never ever. But let me see if I can help you guys to understand something. When you are in those type of a relationship, right? Because I know many of you will say there is always signs. There is always signs. I agree. There is always signs. But even then with the signs don't come right away. The signs don't come right away. So when you find yourself in a relationship with somebody that's abusive, the first time it happens, you're in shock. It's almost like you're in shock. You're like, wait, no. And you're in shock because you don't want to phantom the thought. You don't want to even entertain the idea of a person that was so caring and loving and gentle with you, towards you, could ever display such tendencies, much less be that way with you, towards you. So it's almost kind of like initial shock, like, okay, and then they apologize, and then, because sometimes when it happens, especially if you're one of those people that grew up in an abusive home, so when it happens, you it's almost like you're second guessing yourself in a way, because you're thinking, is it my trauma that is causing me to view this as being abusive, or is this person really being abusive to me? It's tricky, because your traumatic experiences can at times magnify something that isn't really there, and there has been instances like that. There has been instances where, you know even if a person wasn't being abusive to you or whatever, but because of your trauma, it makes you think, and it makes it look like it was abuse, and sometimes it isn't. So the first time it happens, it's kind of like, I don't know. Is it abuse, or is it just my trauma, my unresolved trauma? Which is it? That is like one of those situations. Okay? And then as it happens again, you go through the next phase, whereas you're delusional. You're deluding yourself, because you see it for what it is, and it's happening, and now you're at a stage where you're convincing yourself that it's your fault. You're convincing yourself where maybe if I try a little harder, it's not gonna happen again. Maybe if I'm good to this person, he's not gonna do it again, or they're not gonna do it again. Because believe it or not, men don't speak on it, but women do abuse men a lot. It happens more often than we want to admit, but nobody want to have this conversation, because apparently when women abuse men, is like it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. Though, regardless of whose hands is coming from, abuse is never okay. It's never okay. And then the other instances, you're telling yourself, maybe I can love them through it. Maybe if I love them a little harder, with everything that I have, with everything that is in me, it can help to heal them of their trauma, so that they can stop being abusive to me. It's a process. It's a process. It's a series of things that you go through mentally and emotionally before you get to that final step, that final stage of acceptance. And when you get to the final stage of acceptance, and you felt like, I've done all that I can, I did my best, and you get to the point where you're tired, because now it's like the more you try to hold on, the more it hurts you. You know what I mean? So the final stage is you getting to the point of acceptance, and you decide that you want to let go. And that is the most dangerous part. That is the most dangerous part of any abusive situation that anybody finds themselves in. You know what I mean? Because they are not willing, the abuser is not willing to let you go. They don't want to let you go. They take some type of sick joy, some type of sick pleasure in watching you suffer, all the while claiming to love you and needing you and wanting you, manipulating you, gaslighting you, using your emotions for them against you. It's almost like you're being held hostage. It's almost like you're being held hostage. This hair is annoying. So it's like they hold you hostage, because when you try to leave, they do things to prevent you from leaving even killing you. That's why a lot of time, like domestic violence victims don't make it out alive, because when you get to that final stage where you've done all that you can do and all you want to do is just leave, and they're refusing to let you leave, they take your life. They take your life. So please, if you don't know it, if you've never experienced it, and you don't understand it, please don't speak on it. Okay? Don't blame her. Don't blame KeKe for not walking away a year ago. Don't victim blame her for not walking away a year ago. Don't bash her and question her about, oh, if this was going on over a year ago, why she still stayed in a relationship to the point where she had a whole kid by him. Sometimes a lot of things are not planned, they just kind of happen. And I know, like, don't get in the comment section and be like, oh, you know, she could have controlled it, she could have done that, she could have done that. When your feelings are involved, when you love somebody, all logical and rational thought goes out the window. So again, if it's not something that you understand, please don't speak on it. Don't get on social media and try to blame her or bash her for staying with somebody where she thought she was safe. Don't blame her for staying with someone she thought loved her. And I know a couple of months ago, you guys are gonna be like, well, you know, with the whole Usher situation, listen, I was on the fence on this one, and I'm still on the fence about it or whatever. I have my thoughts. I haven't shared, like, you know, publicly, whatever, and we're not gonna get into that or whatever. And I know many of you are gonna be like, well, you know, she should have walked away then, but she has a child, and a lot of times when you in these relationships, you want to try to make it work for the sake of the child, because nobody wants a broken home. Nobody wants a broken home, and clearly she tried her best to make it work the best she could, the best way she knew how, and unfortunately we're here. So I 100% commend KeKe Palmer on her stance, on her actions, on her decision. And it is great to see that, you know, for the few that are questioning her motives and, you know, saying whatever, she has a whole village and army behind her, because at the end of the day, putting your hands on somebody is not okay. But let's switch gears a little bit and let's play devil's advocate, because I did see the video, not the video. I saw the pictures, right? I saw the pictures. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit, because listen, I don't know KeKe Palmer or her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship. Only what is being displayed on social media for the world to see. Okay, now I saw the photos, and oh my God, but they're still frames, okay? And we have to think logically. We have to think with our heads and not our emotions, okay? Now, if we look at the frames, if we look at the still frames of the footage that is being used in this case, right? It seems as though, because the narrative can go either way, and based on the still images, if his lawyers are smart, which I'm pretty sure they are, and I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be one of their arguments or whatever, it can go either way. It can go either way, because in one of the frames, you can see where, you know, it looks as though he's holding her, like he's choking her while she's laying on the couch. It looks that way, right? But it can be perceived like he is trying to take something from her. Because when you read the reports, it's like she said, took her phone and her keys. So if there's a tussle, if there's a tug of war, and like I'm pulling because I'm trying to prevent you from taking something out of my hand, and I'm holding it close to my chest, based on the angle that those frame was taken, it could go either way. It could be argued that he was just trying to take the phone or the key out of her hand, but the still shot is not visibly clear to say exactly what is being done, but we can see that something is being done. Is he choking her? We don't know. Is he just trying to take something out of her hand? We don't know. And then on the next frame, you see where his hand is risen up, almost like in a motion where it's either where he was in a process of hitting her, or it could be in a process where he yanked whatever it is they was tossing over, whether it was to her keys or her phone, whatever they was fighting over, with his hand up in the frame. It could be argued that he grabbed it like this, and that's where the frame stopped. From the back, that's how it looks, but clearly you can see that she's on the floor. In that frame, she's on the floor and his hands are risen up. But what is his hand risen up to do? Is it that he took something, or is it that he was in a process of hitting her? We don't know. That's a valid point to be argued, because in the next frame you see where he's walking away. In the next frame, after he got whatever he got, or after he did whatever he did, the next frame is him walking away. And then the other frame is where it seems as though he's dragging her, but it could also be argued where he just has her in a bear hug and he's carrying her up the stairs. So when we look at these situations, is like, which direction do you go? Which direction do you go? Who do you believe? And I don't want to be biased about this. I don't want to use my own personal experiences, to form an opinion. We're just gonna have to wait and see the video footage. That will be, a more clear picture of what actually happened, because those still frames can be interpreted either way. But at the end of the day, regardless of which way the tables are turned, domestic violence is never okay. Please, 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 let's learn to keep our hands to ourselves, okay? Let's learn to keep our hands to ourselves. If we're in a relationship and the other person is unhappy, just let them go. Don't hold anybody prisoner. Don't hold anybody hostage. If the relationship has come to an end, it's best that we say our goodbyes respectfully and peacefully and go our separate ways, and we live our separate lives, and just be cordial and polite about it, especially when kids are involved. Because now, unfortunately, this little boy is stuck in the middle between his mom and his dad. And it's a possibility that he just may grow up never knowing his dad, or not having the kind of relationship with his dad as a child should. Because at the end of the day, he's the one that is going to suffer the most. But I'm so glad that KeKe Palmer spoke up. I'm so glad that she opened her throat chakra. I'm always being tongue-tied. And she was able to speak up, no matter how humiliating and embarrassing and heartbreaking it is for her. I do commend her, because she could have very well chose to suffer silently or continue to suffer silently, and she didn't. And I commend her 1000% for doing as a mother should. She's not only making a decision to protect herself, but she's also making a decision to protect her son. No matter how it may look right now, ultimately, the final decision that she made was solely based on the love that she has for her son and what is the best possible way that she can protect him. Because, I'm not saying that he was, probably abusive towards his son, but it's just as damaging if you're being abusive to your child parent, the other parent, and especially if the child is there to witness it. Yes, he's young right now, but if this continues, it's gonna be a point like he's not gonna be able to forget it, listen, babies or not, they're very in tune with their surroundings. They're very in tune to what's going on in their environment, and they're even more in tune with their mother's emotion. I always tell people that at the end of the day, kids needs a healthy and happy mother. They could care less about all of the other stuff. All of the other stuff are bonuses. But at the end of the day, kids, the only thing they really want besides our time is to have a mother that's present, that is healthy and visibly happy to them. So that's all I wanted to say today on regards to this KeKe Palmer situation or whatever. You guys, please keep your hands to yourselves. Be good out there. Please comment down below. Please comment down below your thoughts on this on the situation. I would love to hear from you guys. Please keep it cute, keep it respectful in the comment section. Thanks, please, and thank you. Because any negative comments or whatever, even if you are responding to somebody else, will be reported and will be deleted. We're not here to be negative, okay? We can express our thoughts respectfully, okay? So please don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can, listen to my podcast on Spotify and iHeartRadio. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. As always, thank you guys for watching. Bye.